welcome to hole number 1 at Westmount. You'll enjoy this hole. It's a great par 5. Very stunning view from the tee, slightly elevated to a very rolling fairway. Make sure that you hang a little bit to the left side of the fairway. If you get it hanging up to the right, the wind generally blows left or right, and you could end up in one of the backyards along the way. The big hitters, they'll bomb it over this swale down the middle, and they'll have an iron into a reachable par 5 then. Most of us, though, are hanging back. We hit a good drive, and you want to think about your next shot, though. You don't want to just let loose on a 3-wood and get down too close to the green, because it's very hilly down in that area and slopey lies, so it's a little tricky. Probably want to hang around the get you around 130, 110 in, and you'll still have an undulating lie, but that's natural at Westmount. Then if you have a front pin placement, make sure you get a little bit past it. Short of it, it'll suck you back off the front of the green. Easiest puttable pin placement is back left. It's fairly flat back there, and hope for a back left pin today. Enjoy yourself. Number 2 at Westmount. Great hole. It looks on the scorecard, not that long, but it's all uphill. It's a very tough drive. You want to hit it as far as you can. The bombers get it up top where they have a nice flat lie, but most of us are down about the 150 where you've got a really uneven uphill lie to a long, narrow green. The green itself is very difficult and challenging. It's, as I said, it's very narrow, but it's a 2 clubs to get to the back. If you see a back pin, you've got to take a lot more club. But make sure you don't go left or right, or you don't have a chance of getting up and down. On the green itself, when you get there, the front left pin placement is probably your safest. Hope for that pin. It's a little easier. Anything right is very slopey, and at the back, if you get past it, you're in for a 3-putt. Have a great day. Number 3, just a great par 3. It's about 205 yards. One of the few areas at Westmount where you get an audience, so you have the patio in behind you, so don't be nervous. That pond in front of you shouldn't come into play, but again, if you see a few people on the patio, that miss hit might find its way there. Make sure your club selection is good here, not too long. Long brings in the back bunkers. Left or right make for challenging chips to get up and down. A miss hit here in the front will not kill you. You can usually get that up and down and get your par. The green itself has a kind of a swale in the middle. That's about the easiest spot to putt. Left or right pins make for quite a bit of slope and can be very challenging. A birdie here, generally you'll be one up on the field. Number 4, one of my favorite holes on the golf course. This hole is the slight dogleg left, and that's not why it's my favorite, because I do hook the ball. But it's my favorite because it's a great par 4. It takes a lot of challenge. You have some selection off the tee. You can choose anything from your driver, fairway wood, or even if you're a big hitter, hit a long iron. Not a very wise choice to hit something past the 150 here. There's a big swale or a big hill down the middle, but kind of a knob more than anything. And the ball rolls either right or left off of it. Very seldom does it roll straight and get you into around the 100-yard marker. The green itself is well bunkered, outstanding slope from back to front. If the pin's in the front left or front right, probably front left is a little bit the easier pins. Back left is probably the easiest of all of it, the flattest. And but it's very tough to get it back there because it brings in a lot of trouble. There is a back bunker. And putting to it, if you're above it, hold on to your hat, because generally you're going to have a 10-footer coming back to make your par. Good luck. Number 5, one of the toughest par 5s on the golf course, longest by length, handicap hole number 1. Tee shot is a very demanding tee shot. There's bunkers to the right, fairway bunkers to the right, and fairway bunkers to the left. That fairway bunker to the left, if you're long enough, that's a great line to take over top and get out to where you've got a chance to hit a fairway wood or maybe a long iron to get home in two. But this home in two shot isn't a picnic. There's trees left, trees right, elevated green, bunkers all around. So think it out before you go up there, because you might be having a lost ball here. For most of us who get home here in three, hoping to get home in three, lay up your shot to about 100 yards from the green. Great place to hit in from, generally flattest. If the pin's front, you've got a lot of danger there. Don't leave it short of the pin, or it'll roll back off that false front. And you don't want to get too far past it, because now you got to putt to this green, and a lot of times you'll putt off the front of the green. Best pin spot is at the back. It will require an extra club or two to get back there, but it's probably your safest putting area. Good luck with a birdie. Number 6 is a great hole, great par 3, very similar to number 3 in length, but plays a little different. Generally you're into a prevailing wind, so you've got to take the wind into account. You're in a very tree-lined area, so sometimes you can't feel the wind and the pin isn't moving. So you just have to be aware of what the wind is doing. And also, if you're playing late in the evening, you're playing into the sun. The green is very well bunkered, and it's a very narrow spot at the front of the green, so if the pin's up front, be careful, maybe even take an extra club to throw it back past the pin, so that and being a little more subtle a green, it doesn't roll out like the other greens, except in the back area. In the back two pin spots, very rolly back there, so be careful and don't be too brave back in this area. Best pin spot is kind of middle left. Good luck, hope you make a birdie. Hole number 7, the third par 5 on the front 9. This hole was not originally designed by Stanley Thompson. This was designed by his protege, Robbie Robinson. And it was designed as a hittable par 5 in 2. But it's a demanding tee shot. There's a fairway bunker on the left, very well tree lined. The hole does move from left to right, but more on your second shot. So you can drive it fairly straight here, and then on your second shot, either lay up to about 100 yards again, because it's nice and flat there, or try to get it, maybe sneak one down into the mouth of the green where you have a nice chip, or even sneak it onto the green and have a nice putt for your eagle. The green is very well bunkered. It's one of the 3-tiered greens out on the course. The very front tier is the biggest and also the flattest area, easiest to putt. The middle area is certainly a little narrower, but quite flat, so you can be a little brave here. Back area is slopier and a little bit more treacherous. So be careful where the pin is, and be smart with your shot, and good luck making a birdie. Number 8. Stanley Thompson is way ahead of his time by designing a hittable par 4. Many golf courses now in the PGA have that excitement, and it brings in a new challenge to everybody. Very risk-reward. If you can't get home with your drive, be careful hitting out here, because it's a very undulating fairway. Choose your iron that you hit off the tee or fairway wood to leave you in as flat a spot as possible. If you do decide to go for the green, it's very well bunkered, bunkers left, right. If you hang it out to the right, you've got almost no chance of getting up and down, lucky to make your par. Once on the green, that front pin placement on the left is a devil. A lot of people would say hit past it, but if you hit past it, you'll probably putt off the front of the green anyway. So don't let this hole lull you to sleep and think you're going to make an easy birdie. Walk away from a par here sometimes isn't too bad either. You'll probably be half a shot up on the field. Good luck. And by the way, make sure you order your sandwich at the tee so that it's ready for you and we don't have any slowage of play at the 10th tee. Number 9, great par 4. You're heading back towards the clubhouse, and you're heading home. to get yourself into the halfway house, hopefully under par. Off the tee, it seems to be a very open tee shot. Don't let that fool you. You have to have it in the middle of the fairway in order, or at least on the fairway, to have a shot to this green. It's well treed down inside the 150 on both sides, so make sure that your tee shot is fairly accurate here. Get something out around the 150, it's the flattest there. Anything past the 150, you're getting into some undulating lies. You might have a shorter shot, but you might require some good balance. The green itself is quite narrow, well bunkered again. Nice bunker on the left and bunker on the right. Anything over that bunker on the right, you're going to find the pond down on number 3, and it's not pretty down in there. So be smart with your putt, but you can be a little aggressive here. Good luck.
We'll start with number 10. You come out of the halfway house, you've had a refreshment or a bite to eat, and you look down the fairway and you think it's a fairly simple hole, but you've got to be very careful. The bunker on the left, about 190 yards off the tee, collects a lot of golf balls. The fairway is sloped from right to left, but it's a tricky green. You've got to make sure you take enough club to get it onto the green. There's kind of a false front, and if you come up a little short, you're down in a big gully. And if the pin is tucked on the front, it's a very difficult little chip shot or half wedge shot. And a simple little par 4 hole can create a double bogey for a good player, but it's also a birdie hole. If you get it in the right position, maybe 110 yards from the green, you've got a good opportunity to make a birdie. But it's a nice, tricky hole, and it's kind of a good start to the back 9. The 11th hole is a very good par 5. It has good length to it. There again, with the 4 different tee decks, there's quite a difference between the back tee and the middle tee and the front tee. I encourage a lot of my friends my age, and some maybe even a little younger, to maybe play tees that are up a little bit so they can get to the spots where they used to get many years ago. It's bunkered on the left for the long hitters that they've got to be a little careful. For the big hitters, there's a chance if they hit a good enough tee shot, they can knock it on the green in 2. But you have to make sure that you don't get it to the trees on the right. If you're just playing a nice tee shot and fairly good second shot, you can get it into kind of a hollow with a flat lie, and maybe 110 yards from the green. The green can be very tricky. It's a long green, and from front to back, sometimes you could have a 50 or a 60-foot putt, so it's kind of important to try and select the right club. But it's a beautiful par 5, and starting on the back 9 for good players, there's an opportunity to make a birdie on 10 and 11. 12 looks like a fairly easy hole. It's 140 yards there again, depending on what tee deck you want to play from. But on 12, the wind seems to swirl a little bit around the green, and it can be very tricky, and you've got to make sure you take enough time to get the right club. It's well bunkered on the left and on the front and on the right. Fairly easy par 3. However, it can be tricky on the green. When the pin is on the front right, if you hit it a real good shot at the flag and it goes past the flag, sometimes it'll roll back down into the hole. And if you hit a good shot and it bounces just short of the green, it can roll in the hole. It's an exciting little par 3. 13 is the last of our par 5s. Fairly wide fairway. There again, this hole, there's a tremendous amount of toughness whether you're playing the back tee or the middle tee. It's quite a bit longer from the back tee. For the long hitters, there's a sand trap on the left side of the fairway that can catch your ball. It's probably 250 yards, 260 yards off the tee. After you've hit your drive, it slopes from right to left. It's kind of a dogleg to the right on your second shot. And you've got to make sure that you keep it left so you don't get it up in the trees on the right. The green I've seen some of the longer hitters knock it on in 2. If you miss the green on the right side and the pin is on the right, it's a very, very difficult chip shot. And I'd venture to say 50% of the tour players would have a hard time getting it up and down if the pin was on the right and you missed the green on the right. But it's a beautiful par 5, and it potentially is a birdie hole for a real good player. "14 is a pretty golf hole. You're up on the tee, you look down a slot. It's just a gorgeous sight. You don't necessarily have to hit a driver. You'll see a lot of the longer hitters hit an iron just to get it play in the fairway where you have a flat lie. If you miss it to the right in the trees and you're lucky enough to get an open shot, there's a chance you can get it on the green. If not, you're going to have to chip it in front of the green, and there again you've got a tricky little wedge or chip to get it on the green. The green is a little bit elevated and there's a false front, and a lot of times you'll think you've hit a pretty good shot, but you come up a little short. It can get on the green maybe 5 or 6 feet and it'll come off the front of the green. It's just a well made golf hole that should be on every golf course. "15 is a championship golf hole that could be on any good golf course where the tour plays. If you don't drive it straight, there's trees on the left, there's trees on the right. And if you're good enough and lucky enough to get it in the fairway, for the average player, they're probably hitting a wood to an elevated green. If you can hit the ball 290 yards, and we have a few players that can do that, you've hit it to Seagram's flats. So you've really done something special if you can get it to Seagram's flat, and probably have anywhere from a 6 iron to an 8 iron. You try and get enough club to get it onto the green, and the wind can play a little havoc there too to figure out the wind. But it's a good golf hole. It's a tough par 4. If you make 4, be happy and carry on. "16 is really a good tee shot hole. The fairway kind of goes from right to left. There's a little bit of a hill on the right, and if you happen to hit it fairly solid, you can get it over the hill on the right, and the ball will kind of give you a forward kick off the hill. For a big hitter, if they hit it far enough, they can hit anywhere from a 6 iron to a 9 iron. But in most cases, for the average player, you're probably hitting a rescue club or another wood to get to the green. The green can be very, very difficult, even though it looks fairly easy. If you get it above the hole on 16, sometimes even from 10 feet, you can knock it 4 or 5 feet by. And even the side hill putts can be tricky. It's just a real good golf hole that could be on any championship golf course anywhere. "17 is a beautiful par 3. It's an elevated tee shot. Again, you've got to make sure that you take enough time to select the right club. The wind comes into play there a little bit, and it's well bunkered on both sides. It can be a little tricky if you miss it on the right side as far as chipping the ball. The greens at Westmount can be very, very fast, and it slopes from left to right, and you've got to be a little careful. If you're above the hole, you just can't ram it, and sometimes on a 10-foot, 12-foot putt, you can knock it 4 or 5 feet by there. And even the side hill putts there can be very tricky, but it's just a nice par 3, and it's kind of a nice closing par 3, at the end of your round. The 18th hole is a great finishing hole, and again, depending on what tee deck you're playing from, but you're kind of coming out of a little bit of a chute with trees on the left, trees on the right. The tee shot makes the hole. And Robbie and I have seen a lot of matches won or lost on this hole. If you get it in play and get it into a flat lie, maybe you hit it 230 off the tee, 220 yards, you're going to end up with a pretty good lie. The key to this hole, though, is the green. And you should try and get the ball to wherever the flag is, get it on the right side of the flag. We've seen a lot of 3 putts, maybe even 4 putts on this green. It's so tricky. When you look at the putts and you think, it doesn't look that bad, but the ball breaks a lot on the 18th hole, and it's just a great finishing hole. And if you make 4 on the last hole, you'll be happy at the end of your round.